You walk into the grocery store for milk, eggs, and maybe a loaf of bread, a quick, simple trip. But by the time you reach the checkout, that metal cart tells a different story. There are snacks piled in the corner, a larger package of paper towels because the unit price looked better, a bottle of hot sauce you had zero intention of buying when you left the house. It is easy to blame a lack of discipline for the sudden jump in your grocery bill, but there is another element involved in that transaction. The building around you is actively participating in your choices. A modern grocery store is not a passive warehouse where food happens to sit on shelves. The entrances, the aisles, the lighting, and the displays operate as a highly engineered spatial marketing system. The store cannot force you to put anything into your basket. It doesn't need to. It simply influences what you have to walk past, which items sit at eye level, and how long you remain surrounded by merchandise. By changing what you encounter before you make a decision, the physical layout routinely transforms a brief mental list into an overflowing cart. It operates through an architecture of probability. To understand exactly how this space functions, researchers at the Wharton School attached radio frequency identification tags to shopping carts to track exact customer movements through a physical grocery store. This map shows the recorded paths of those shoppers. The retail industry often operates on the assumption that customers walk a clean, predictable route up and down every single aisle. The recorded data shows something entirely different. Look at the center of the store. The density of travel plummets here. Most shoppers do not trace a perfect, continuous racetrack pattern around the perimeter and through every interior aisle. Instead, shoppers make quick excursions in and out of specific sections. The researchers found that, despite the apparent chaos, actual travel behavior groups neatly into 14 recurring, measurable path types based on trip length. Retailers use layout models to intercept these natural walking routes. If a store knows where a customer is likely to walk to reach a high-demand item, they can map the journey from the entrance to that target. Placing a popular department at a distance ensures the shopper crosses these intermediate zones. They are forced to evaluate multiple, unrelated product categories on their way to the item they actually came for. An item you never see has nearly zero chance of ending up in your cart. Controlling the physical walking route increases exposure across thousands of trips, making it one of the most reliable ways to increase overall sales. This brings us to a well-known piece of retail folklore. You will often hear that milk is placed at the absolute rear of the store, specifically to trap customers into a long walk past thousands of other products. Drawing a customer deep into the building is certainly valuable for generating those extra impressions, but treating this purely as a psychological trap ignores the physical reality of the product. Milk requires constant cooling. A modern supermarket sells huge volumes of it, demanding massive refrigeration infrastructure, industrial piping, and an unbroken cold chain to keep it safe for consumption. Storing dairy at the back of the store places it directly adjacent to the loading docks. Workers can unload pallets from refrigerated trucks straight into the cold storage room and restock the shelves directly from behind. Putting the coolers in the middle of the store would completely break that supply chain. The rear location solves a massive operational challenge first and creates a secondary merchandising advantage as a byproduct. The most effective store designs do not rely solely on psychological tricks. They take necessary, heavy logistical infrastructure and seamlessly align it with consumer behavior. The structure of a supermarket extends past its physical floor plan. It also includes the way your choices are architected, specifically when it comes to price. This chart shows two typical purchasing options. You have a small, entry-level package for a low price and a large, premium package for a higher price. Now a third option appears on the shelf. It costs almost as much as the premium package but offers noticeably less product. Behavioral economists call this the decoy effect, or asymmetric dominance. No one is expected to buy the middle option. It exists strictly to make the premium package look like an obvious bargain by comparison. Shoppers rarely evaluate a price in strict isolation. We judge the value of an item relative to the options placed immediately next to it. Retailers control that surrounding context. This kind of subtle influence often gets confused with pure manipulation. For example, a widespread story claims supermarkets use smaller floor tiles in the expensive aisles so the cart wheels click faster, tricking shoppers into slowing down. That claim lacks real evidence. It is retail folklore. What researchers have actually documented is that the tempo of background music actively influences walking pace. Slow the music down and the average walking speed decreases, increasing the time spent browsing. Real supermarket psychology does not rely on cinematic mind control tricks. It operates through small, tested environmental nudges that shift behavior at the margins. If layout and routing were a perfect science, a retailer could simply force maximum exposure on every single trip and watch their profits climb indefinitely. Researchers tested the limits of this idea in 2 Australian supermarkets. They modified a standard layout by adding a middle cross aisle, intentionally breaking up the long rows to force shoppers past more commotional displays and end caps. The results countered retail logic. The disruptive layout produced 0 measurable increase in total spending, basket size, or time spent in the store. There is a hard limit to consumer attention. When a store presents an overwhelming number of signs, displays, and products, the brain simply starts to ignore them to navigate the space efficiently. Designing a retail space requires balancing exposure against exhaustion. It is a statistical optimization problem, where placing one more item might be the exact thing that causes a customer to look away. A supermarket cannot force you to place an extra box of cereal on the conveyor belt. But by structuring the layout, the logistics, and the price comparisons, they design the environment where you make that choice. The strategy behind success. ReDecode.